The 2026.5 release of Home Assistant is here, and I've been going through what we're getting in this release. There's a lot here, and I've been really surprised to see some of the new features, and I just know you're all going to love these new updates. So come with me as I break down everything you need to know about this release before you decide to upgrade. Hey everyone, my name's Simon and welcome to Bite of Geek, a channel that's all about Home Assistant and smart home technology. So the new 2026.5 release of Home Assistant is here, and with this release, things are really starting to ramp up this year. There's some significant new functionality this release and an amazing list of integrations to help you bring even more of your devices into your smart home. As I always mention, this is a beta release of Home Assistant, and as such it can be subject to change before the final release, with features potentially dropped or added at the last minute. And last month's release was a fine example of that happening. I'll put a link to the release notes in the description of this video if you want to read about the update in more detail. But let's kick things off and look what's in store for the May release of Home Assistant. Starting off with the new features then, and I think it's fair to say that this release is grouped into three main areas of new features, those being communication, dashboards and automations, and I'm certain the vast majority of you are going to like what's in store. So in last month's release, we had the introduction of infrared control, which was quite the surprise it would seem, but a lot of people wanted to know about RF control as well. And well, it seems that the Home Assistant team have been listening, because we have exactly that in the May release of Home Assistant. Yes, 2026.5 introduces RF control of your devices, building on what was started in the previous release, and this enables you to keep on using those older devices that are still perfectly functional and bring them into your smart home. All you need is to be able to add an ESP RF proxy somewhere in your home, and those devices like your blinds, fans or even string lights will all suddenly work. And of course, it's fair to say we have some new integration supporting that in this release, so make sure you keep watching towards the end of the video to see more details on that. With this addition and IR in the previous release, it's worth mentioning that Nabu Casa are working on a new device under the code name of Project Blast, and this is going to bring infrared and radio frequency capabilities together in one new device. If you haven't watched the State of the Open Home video, then I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, along with a link to the Open Home roadmap so that you can see exactly where things are headed in the future. Of course, RF devices aren't the only things that are being enabled in your smart home in this release. If you've got any devices that talk over RS-232 serial communication, so that's things like smart meters or older AV equipment, then simply connecting them to a conveniently placed ESP device will now enable them to be exposed to your network and into Home Assistant. The addition of these two communication methods is going to be extremely beneficial to a lot of users, and if you think that as well, then hit the like button below. It's worth noting though that with the serial communication, it's not just a plug and play setup, but I'm sure some of you won't mind that. There is going to be an element of writing YAML and flashing firmware, but it wouldn't be fun if it just worked out of the box now, would it? Next, and we've got further updates to the purpose-specific automation triggers and conditions, and this release sees the introduction of automations that now understand the concept of for a while. So for example, when a door has been open for at least 10 minutes or presence has not been detected for at least 5 minutes, which I think is a fantastic addition to this release. These are going to be available for motion and occupancy, all the way through to doors, windows, lights and many more. And for conditions, well, this release includes support for duration across a range of different things, initially for motion and the range of cover-based conditions, so doors, windows, gates, etc. And there's a few examples that we've been given. So when a garage door has been open for more than 30 minutes after a sunset, then send a notification. And if the bedroom window has been closed for at least an hour, then only then start the air purifier. And bringing up the rear, we've got some more triggers and conditions added to this release. We've got is available and is not available for updates. Media players get 4 new triggers for when something starts playing, pauses, turns on or turns off. To-do list automations can now use are all items completed or are there still incomplete items on the list. Timers now have triggers for started, paused, restarted, cancelled and finished. And finally, there's a new doorbell rang trigger. Overall, these are some great updates for the release so far, and if you agree, then don't forget to hit the like button below. We're not finished yet though, as there's even more new features in this release, and these are for the dashboards, and there's some great additions here. Since its introduction, I think there's been updates to the built-in dashboard pretty much every release, and this update is certainly no different. The first of these new additions is a new maintenance dashboard, which will discover every battery powered device in your smart home and lays them out grouped by area, and those that need replacement will get highlighted. Next, and the security dashboard has a new activity sidebar that gives you clear information showing you all of the activity over a 24-hour period, from things like your cameras, your locks, your door and window sensors and other security related devices, as well as who has been coming and going from your home. And whilst these are for the built-in dashboards, there are even more improvements for those dashboards that a lot of people build themselves. And that starts with the addition of a new shortcut card, which supports navigation, opening a URL, launching assist and performing an action. Great if you don't want, say, the energy shortcut on the sidebar, but you would like to have it as a shortcut on your regular dashboard. The tile card is a core card on Home Assistant dashboards, and in this release it expands on what it can do for media players with the addition of a select source option and the select sound mode. And the existing playback card has had updates which now allow you to pick exactly which buttons appear and in what order they appear as well. And finally, the weather entities have had some of that tile card update love as well, with a new hourly forecast feature which introduces a smooth temperature line that starts at the current temperature and extends into the coming hours. And there's also the daily forecast, and for upcoming days or half days with a forecast, it's shown as a rounded bar spanning the expected min and maximum temperature, all coloured by the forecast condition, along with a horizontal line marking the current temperature as a reference point. Integrations are a massive part of Home Assistant. They give the ability to bring a huge range of devices and services from different manufacturers into your smart home. And if you're using Home Assistant, then it's important to keep up with the latest updates each month. So make sure to hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss my next video. But starting things off then, and if you've got a Denon receiver, well, now you can control it locally and receive push-based state updates over its RS-232 port, thanks to the introduction of the RS-232 integration in this release that I mentioned earlier. If you're an owner of a Duco demand controlled ventilation system, well, there's a new platinum level integration in this release that lets you track sensor data and adjust the ventilation on a zone by zone basis. Those with an EARN EP1 meter can now integrate that with Home Assistant and get access to real-time energy and gas data without having to go out to the cloud. Owners of Eurotronic Comet Blue Bluetooth radiator thermostats can now add them to Home Assistant and be able to read the status and control the temperature completely locally. And if you have a Fumis-based pellet stove in your home, well, now there's a new Fumis integration bringing you the ability to monitor and set target temperature, as well as being able to turn the stove on and off. And it's worth noting that this will also work with other brands that use the Fumis Wi-Fi module. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, RF control has been added in this release, and so we have an integration to allow you to control your Honeywell string lights via the ESP Home device. There's a new Kiosker integration to help monitor your kiosks for those of you running your iPads as wall-mounted dashboards. Novi Cooker Hood is another new integration which arrives off the back of the introduction of RF control in this release, and therefore you can now control the light and extractor fan of your cooker hood. Again, you'll need something like a Broadlink RM4 Pro or ESP Home to be able to achieve this. If you're in Spain or Portugal, then you may be pleased to hear that there is a new OMI integration that brings sensors that expose the current and next hour prices, which you'll be able to use to create automations for deciding the best time to run things like your dishwashers, heating your water, or even charging your car. With the introduction of RF this release, there's also a new radio frequency integration, and this is more for other integrations like those previously mentioned, for them to consume rather than something to set up. If you've ever wanted to get electricity consumption data from the French Linky smart meters or older meters using the TIC protocol, well, there is a new Teleinfo integration to help you with that, which by adding a USB adapter to the meter's output, you'll be able to monitor data such as real-time energy, apparent power, and tariff information, amongst other details, and all completely locally as well. Finally, we have a new Victron GX integration, which will give you the ability to hook up and control various GX devices in Home Assistant, giving you real-time monitoring and control of your systems. So those are the new integrations in this release, but as always, we've got quite a few improvements to existing ones. I'm not going to go through them all. Instead, I'll just pick out some of the key ones, starting with Matter and support for radon sensors, which has now been added. So any devices with radon monitoring that communicate via Matter will now show up in Home Assistant. If you're using Apple TV, well, that now supports keyboard text input services, which means that you can now send text directly to your Apple TV from Home Assistant. If you're using Apple TV, then drop a comment below what that change would mean for you. Music Assistant has had a number of improvements to player options with the addition of number, text, switch and select entities now being exposed for everything that Music Assistant makes configurable. With the introduction of the new infrared platform that arrived in the previous release, you can now reuse your Broadlink RM devices as native IR transmitters for other integrations, and SM-Lite SLZB devices now expose an IR platform as well, so they can be used as an IR transmitter. SwitchBot air purifiers have a couple of new additions, giving you the ability to control fan speed percentage and also toggle the built-in light sensor. And finally, Unify Protect has gained an alarm panel, Unify PoE and Superlink sirens, and switches for the Superlink relay. And you'll need Unify Protect 7.1 or later to use these. That's just a handful of the integrations that have been updated this month, but if you want to read the full list of improvements, then don't forget to check out the link in the description of this video. This release, we've again got quite a few integrations moving up the quality scale. So starting off, we have 6 integrations reaching platinum level, and they are Elgato, FreshR, Google Weather, Libre, 20 Milieu, and Unify Access. We have 2 integrations moving to gold, and they are Fritzbox Tools and Samsung Smart TV. Moving to silver, we have 3 integrations, and they are Anthropic, Hume, and Unify Network. And finally, we have 2 integrations that move to bronze, and those are iAqualink and Water Furnace. I think it's great to see all the hard work from those contributing to these integrations, being recognized in the releases to make them better for everyone to use. And if you're impressed with the huge number of new integrations, updates and improvements in this release, then don't forget to hit that like button. There's some nice notable changes in this release, and we start with an update to the UI for robot vacuums and robot mowers, which gives the more info pop-up a nice clean new look, and I think they look really smart. The big addition here though is the new clean by area, which with the recent changes has now allowed this to be added to the UI for making it super easy to clean specific rooms in your home. Along with those updates, the trusty toggle switch has also had a bit of an update, including full keyboard functionality as well. The mobile app now exposes a notification entity for each of your devices, which means you can now group them together using a group helper, enabling you to send a single notification to them all. That's a brilliant new addition and just makes automations a bit cleaner. Integrations with lots of devices now have a new search bar at the top of the integration detail page, and there's also a couple of updates to dashboard visibility conditions. So now state and numeric state visibility conditions get a new current entity option, which will automatically follow the entity the card is bound to, and state and numeric state visibility conditions on cards can now check an entity attribute instead of just the state. There's a new reload action to reread your shell command YAML configuration, and vacuums that you build with the template integration can now expose the segments or rooms as we would know them, as well as a clean segment action. And finally, frequency sensors now support millihertz through to gigahertz with automatic conversion between them, and electric current sensors have gained microamperes as well. Currently, there's a small number of breaking changes this release, and we're starting off with the Gardena Bluetooth. And if you're using the finish watering value in the integration, well, that has now been moved from a binary sensor to a regular sensor. And with that, it also exposes the timestamp of when watering is expected to finish. Next, we have Pylight, and this integration has been disabled due to a dependency that is no longer available. If in the future this dependency is resolved, then the integration will then be activated again. If you're using a Ring doorbell, well, the doorbell event entity will emit a standardized Ring event type rather than the ding, aligning Ring with the new doorbell event standard, which means you can use it with the new purpose-specific automation triggers and conditions. The supervisor integration has been updated in that actions such as add-on start or backup partial and host reboot, which previously logged errors on failure and therefore your scripts and automations would continue to run regardless, well, now they will stop unless continue on error is set to true. So quite an important one, this one here, to check if your scripts are configured that way. And finally, webhook and the local only option now needs to be a proper Boolean, so true or false rather than a yes or a one, which it had previously just been accepting. Again, another one to check in your scripts and automations. So there we go. That's what you can expect to see in the 2026.5 release of Home Assistant. Some exciting new features there that I know, based on previous release comments, many of you have been waiting for. What are you looking forward to in this release? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss more Home Assistant updates like this, as well as all the other smart home content I create on the channel. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.